After working on Nova, I was quite excited to get to work on another Feisty Pet, and thanks to Patch's choice, that's exactly what we're doing today. I knew I wanted to make this guy more colourful than he was originally, taking him further away from his Feisty Pet nature, and the best way to do that was to use rainbow. Initially, I was going to use some rainbow Cuddle Soft fleece that I have, but having used that to work on customising a bigger bear that I've actually got up for sale in my vintage store, I knew it wasn't going to be practical to use on such a small scale because of how much it sheds and everything. So yeah, I decided I'd just use these patches of, and I've completely forgotten what the fabric's called. Polar fleece, there we go. Yeah, so it took some working. This is my first attempt at the ear patches. You'll see that I do a lot of this out of order to how I would normally do things, and redo several things because of it. But we'll get into that in a minute. The other thing is, I really do want to work on the dragons, but I just want to get a bit better at doing these sorts of things before I brave doing those. The dragons are going to be really cool when I get to it, but yeah, that's going to be a little way down the line before we get there. So this is the reds that I'm putting on first, and I did map out his design before making a start, because I wanted to make sure I could fit all the colours on, because I didn't really want to do anything on his back, just keep it all on his front. I could have done something to his tail, but I just thought that might just be a bit much, be a bit weird. And here we go with the orange, and I think I get all the way through attaching the orange before I realised that these patches are just a tiny bit too small, and you can see the original fabric underneath, and yeah, I end up completely undoing both of them. He's still not perfect, but it does look a lot better than it did. So I decided that now would be a good time to cover the hole left by removing the mechanism. This is just to help with attaching the muzzle and then stuffing it when it's attached, so that the stuffing doesn't end up in the rest of the body and falling out the muzzle, because that would be pretty useless. And also backs for the eye holes. Now, I should have done the eyes right at the beginning, but the reason why I left them so late in the process is because they were a bit of a nightmare to work with. The ones I had chosen for him they weren't safety eyes, basically. They were supposed to have metal posts on them when they came, but for whatever reason they didn't. And it was an eBay purchase, and I didn't have the energy to send them back. So I'd been spending all this time trying to figure out how to attach them. Here we go with the muzzle. This is just sewing up the darts. This is the first attempt. I'm still getting the hang of making the muzzle stick out as far as I want it to. I think I've got it sus now. But yeah, it's just taking practice and stuffing his head just to make it a bit easier to attach. I did first time around attach it too far under his chin. When I redid it, repositioned it, it's still not perfect, and does go a little bit lower than I wanted, but actually I think it looks kind of cute, especially once I added the nose and the mouth to him. He still looks really creepy without his eyes, but yeah, we'll get back to that in a minute as to what happened with the eyes, because that was fun. So muzzle all attached, and I just decided to stuff the rest of him just to make attaching the other patches easier, because for me it's a lot easier doing it this way. I have recently discovered actually that what a lot of customizers do if they're replacing the accents is they remove the existing accents. Now, partly because I didn't learn this till after I started work on this guy, but also partly because I was way too nervous to add something else onto my list of new things to try. I didn't do it on him, but I think going forward I am going to do that, because I think it's going to make my life a lot easier, as when you're sewing through so many layers of fabric that's already there, it can be quite tricky. But it's still an enjoyable process, and especially when you see the outcome, you know, and it's something you can be proud of, which, you know, I really love that. Yeah, and the bear customizing is a lot of fun. So just adding the stuffing now to his muzzle, and actually I do 2 locks, do his muzzle twice. The second one I do off camera, so this one it was too flat, I didn't like it, but I decided to keep it there just to help sort of push it forwards. And yeah, I do another one off camera, make it stick out a little bit further, make it more bear-like. And back to the accents, so yeah, I cut them out again, resized them a bit, and reattach them. But I won't make you sit through all of that again, because we don't like repetitive footage. So there we go, he's got his ears. So we've got the red, the orange and the yellow onto the green. Now, this is where I went really wrong. Well, I say really wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. As I said earlier, I mapped out his colours and the order they would go in, but for some reason I kind of forgot that and decided I'd give him a green nose. But as you will see, I do get rid of it, because putting the green on his nose means I then don't have enough colours for the rest of his patches, because I'm only using the 7 colours of the rainbow. Yeah, and that would have just messed everything right up, and that would have been really irritating for me. So yeah, after sewing the entire nose on, I do remove it. But hey, it's a way to learn. And next time I'll try and actually look at my mock-up designs whilst I'm actually working on them, rather than just when I design them, which is what I tend to do actually. But never mind. And yep, time to take it off, because I've realised my mistake. It was a bit fiddly to get off actually, I just struggled trying to find the stitching, but as you can see I did in the end. Because normally if I have to take fabric off, I like to try and save it as best as I can so I can use it in a future project. That will get used, but for something else, which we'll get to eventually. It is a video I have planned, I'm just not quite ready to do it yet. Just need more practice. So on with the green and the blue paw pads. Continuing the rainbow. Yeah, just obviously top to bottom was the best way of doing it, because of the way the rainbow is and the rainbow arc. Just made far more sense to do it that way rather than sort of all over the place. You know, things that are rainbow coloured should really be in rainbow order. So this is the first of 2 attempts I made to attach wire to the eyes. My first attempt, well actually I think there were 3 attempts in total. This first one, just using hot glue, I thought it was going to work because it seemed to hold really well, but then they just kind of dropped off. But what I hadn't done is sort of scratch the backs to give the glue something to hold on to. So I did that and attempted the glue again, and that still didn't work. They still just came off. And then I tried using epoxy sculpt, and again what happened was when I I wanted to twist the wire together inside the bear's head so that I could put some protective fabric over it, and yeah, that just pulled the wire out. So in the end I went for these other safety eyes that I had. They were intended for a different project, but hey ho, they actually do look quite cute on him in the end. And finally sewing him up, but I am never leaving the eyes till last again. It's such a pain to work with. And you might have noticed on this I did go bottom to top instead of top to bottom, and that's because of the slight hole he had in the base of his neck as well. So he is all done. This is how he turned out. My husband actually named him this time around, and his name is Gribble. He's not exactly how I pictured. You know, the muzzle's a little skew-if, but that's fine. And obviously the eyes aren't the ones I'd originally intended on using. But I still think he looks really cute, and I love how his smile came out. So overall, yeah, I am really happy with him. Glad I got to do him, and glad he got to be rainbow. Yeah, so that is it for this one, guys, and I will see you next time.